In this volume 40 of the Star Trek Void, I have Star Trek history lost and found, Star Trek activism at its best, plus some fantastic Star Trek articles to share as well. This is the Star Trek Void, where I try to fill the gaps between new episodes with a little news, a little information, and hopefully some entertainment. And while I usually do start things off right with birthdays, we are going to cover that Star Trek history lost first. Yes, this past week we had to say goodbye to John Trimble, who is one of the two people who started that famous writing campaign to make sure there was a season 3 of Star Trek, the original series. He and his wife, Bijo, were instrumental in rallying fans into writing in and demanding another season of a great sci-fi show. And he was mourned by many. This one is shared by Sean Farrag, who you may recognize from another Star Trek channel, way bigger than this one. And he was also mourned by Comic-Con International. Both recount the history and his involvement, but I'm going to go ahead and read Comic-Con International's. Please do go back and read the full account in the previous post. All links will be below. This one says, "We are very sad to learn of the passing of John Trimble, a past recipient of the Comic-Con's Inkpot Award. Trimble and wife Bijo are synonymous with science fiction fandom and widely credited with rescuing Star Trek's original series from the early cancellation. Our condolences to Bijo, their children, and many friends throughout the world." And this is penned by R. Minahan. Short, it's succinct, and yeah, this is a piece of history lost for us, but someone to definitely be remembered as he inspires so many more of us to find a way to make our voices heard. More about those efforts later on, but I am going to move on to a little bit happier news. Some Star Trek history found with this post by Trek Central. Yes, you can see by the image, the post here says, "New Lost Enterprise model returned and authenticated. The original 3-foot filming model seen in TOS opening credits, which reappeared after decades of being lost, has now been returned and officially been authenticated. This is not going home to adorn my shelves," Roddenberry says. And that is Gene Roddenberry's son there. "This is going to get restored, and we're working on ways to get it out so the public can see it. My hope is that it will land in a museum somewhere." Rod Roddenberry, source ABC News. So wonderfully, a bit of great news there. Very happy to see that a piece of our history might be able to be seen by you and I. Who knows, maybe it'll end up in the Smithsonian with other models, or it could end up on tour with different conventions. Here's to hoping. And now you know what time it's for. And we're going to start with, of course, most of these are TrekMovie.com, a post made to Iggy Pop. Happy birthday to Iggy Pop, who played Yelgren, a Vorta clone, in Star Trek Deep Space Nine episode, The Magnificent Ferengi. Such a funny episode. I really did enjoy. See, now I'm going to have to go rewatch Deep Space Nine again. Okay, next up we've got one shared by Strange New Pod, wishing a very happy birthday to Ensign Barnes and the voice of the USS Cerritos, Jessa McKenna. Lower Decks, Star Trek Lower Decks, Star Trek family, a very happy birthday to Jessica. And a very happy birthday to Ashley Judd, who made her TV debut as Ensign Robin Leffler on Star Trek TNG. She's most remembered for helping Wesley save the Enterprise in the game, but her first appearance was in Darmok. And if I recall my Star Trek history, I do believe she was also Will Wheaton's first on-screen kiss. So, bit of history. Happy birthday, Ashley. Let's see who's next. Oh yes, happy birthday, Michael Forrest. Happy 95th birthday to Michael Forrest, who played Apollo in the Star Trek The Original Series episode, Who Mourns for Adonis. Unsurprisingly, his addition included taking his shirt off. He played the role again in 2012 in the fan film Star Trek Continues. Hashtag Star Trek, of course. And, of course, a happy birthday to Clint Howard, who made his Star Trek debut at age 7 in The Carbonite Maneuver. Love it. Decades later, he appeared on Star Trek Deep Space Nine, Enterprise, and then decades after that, Star Trek Discovery and Star Trek Strange New Worlds. And he has done a fantastic job being a part of the Trek family through time. This guy is awesome. He's up there with Majel as just somebody you have to see in a Star Trek series. It's just necessary. And TrekMovie.com also shares, oh my, happy birthday to George Takei, who plays Hikaru Sulu on Star Trek, TOS, the animated series, Star Trek Voyager, Star Trek Lower Decks, and Very Short Treks, and in 6 Star Trek films. He's also a director, author, voiceover artist, activist, and social media giant. He also played a really weird snake thingy on an episode of Lost Girl, if I'm remembering correctly. That was weird. But a very happy birthday. And I met him at my last convention. So nice, unsurprisingly grateful, kind, generous to his fans. Love it, love it, love it. Happy birthday, George. Now let's talk a little bit about Trek activism and amazing things that we can do with it. Actually, amazing things we are currently doing. Because, of course, Lower Decks has been canceled. Season 5 will be the last one after this fall. No more new Lower Decks. Probably. Maybe. Could be. Because Trek fans don't generally stay quiet when their show is canceled or not being created at all so far. So it is no surprise to see that petition that was started that had a goal of 5,000 has already surpassed it, and the next goal, 7,500, and it's inching closer. According to this, 142 people have signed the petition just today. Why don't you join them if you have not and would like to see some more Lower Decks? We already know that a good cartoon from Trek can be saved. Netflix has got season 2 of Prodigy coming out someday. And so it's not too far of a stretch to think we could get a 6th season from there as well. Just make sure that you sign and do what you can to make sure that those who need to hear our voices do. If the petition doesn't work, we have other options. According to this post made by Michelle, or Meg's mama, okay, here's what I propose we do as a fan base to save Star Trek Lower Decks. TSX Billboard on Times Square allows you to upload your own images, 15-second videos for as little as $40. Everything is uploaded and booked through the TSX app. I say we pick a time, day, and block book it. And I had no idea we could do that. I totally think we should. I think that's a pretty small investment with probably a very big return. And speaking of a small investment with a big return,
get on, Dungeon Master!
Trekkies from around the world joined Todd Stashwick and friends for a game of D&D in the hopes of raising $50,000 to help fight children's cancer. Let's see what he has to say here. This post is directly from the man himself, Todd Stashwick. Last night exceeded all expectations. We sounded the horn and Trek fans showed up. We ended up raising north of $52,000 to fight childhood cancer for Pavlov. This nerd was humbled by the generosity of all. Hashtagging Star Trek and Dungeons and Dragons. And they did some amazing things on that cast. They freaking auctioned off a sword, really. How fantastic is that? 2 seats at the table were also auctioned off so that real fans could join in the game. And not only that, but the donations keep coming. An amazing night of charity, amazing night of giving, and again, just shows just how much Trekkies can accomplish if we put our minds to it. Now, real quick, a question for you. Have you enjoyed Star Trek Discovery this season? I really have. And one of the things that I really enjoyed out of this was the whole Action Saru thing. And so this is a perfect time for me to give a nod to some of our Trek fan artists, especially one in particular. Now, there have been a lot of Action Saru cartoons put out there, little pictures. I've really enjoyed a lot of them. This one caught my eye, probably because of the bright colors. Isn't it pretty? It was put up by Carlos Vangara, and apparently he does commissions. So, keep that in mind if you got something you want done. This is Star Trek Discovery Season 5 is amazing so far. 4 banger episodes, 4 out of 4. Anyway, Action Saru is somehow missing, but here I come in. Actor Douglas Jones has been great, and I'm sad Discovery is coming to an end, but seems it'll end on a high note. So there is that. Yeah, we're all sad that it's ending. It would have been nice to get a 6th or 7th season out of it, but I am glad they were able to go back and, tweak it so that it looks like a good ending. And we're getting some fantastic, fun things out of this season, including, of course, Action Saru. So thank you so much, Carlos, for this amazing image. Happy to show it on this edition of the Star Trek Void. And go Saru. And let me know what you've thought of this season so far. Are you like he is? 4 out of 4? So far, so good. Everything's wonderful. Or are you waiting for something more? I've thoroughly enjoyed every episode. This last episode with them traveling back and forth through time, that was fantastic. And Sonequa has an interesting point of view on the season itself. Now, if you've been to this channel before, you know I love some good articles about Star Trek. And this one by TrekMovie.com is superb. It is simply a chat between Sonequa and the interviewer and has some great questions about how she approached a lot of different things in this season. But one of the best stories, including, by the way, how she approaches stunts now that she's a mother of a son and daughter. But I think out of all the questions and answers, this one is probably my favorite. I don't try to get too political on this channel because y'all get really upset about it. But I like this point of view. So we're going to deal with it because it's my channel and I want to. And I like that rule. Our interviewer says, looking at the relationship with Rayner and Burnham, it's very unusual in the show to see a younger black woman leading an older white man, teaching him something. And I'm wondering if you had thoughts on that. And she answers, oh, I loved that. That's something that we talked about, me and the other producers, and Michelle Paradise, our showrunner, and Alex Kurtzman as well. We felt that we had reached a point where it was time for Burnham to be the mentor. Saru leaving and going off to fill his own destiny, his own purpose, had a lot to do with that because he was sort of a guide and a voice of reason in that way. And his exit marked the beginning of Burnham being ready to be someone else's guide, someone else's mentor, and being able to give Captain Rayner a second chance was huge. That's a big part of why Burnham is able to lead from the center out and why she's able to nurture people to be their best selves because of everything that she's been through, because of the mistakes and the moral failures and the victories as well. And so I really love that we've sort of flipped it on its head and earned it at the same time. We didn't just do it, we earned it. And Burnham saw herself in Rayner, even though he was this older white man and he struggled to listen, but he was humbled through the experience as well, which could be a path that people could see moving forward. So yeah, I mean, we as a society, we're slowly grasping the idea that a woman being in charge could be normal. A woman being in charge of an older white male, that's a little tricky. I personally have enjoyed it, not because he's an older white male, but because Burnham is giving him this second chance when he would have lost everything as far as his career goes. I also love the fact that Burnham is younger than the person she's in charge of. I've talked a bit that I had some rebellious 20s. Well, I also, believe it or not, was the youngest employee in a store where I was assistant manager, and all of the employees were all older than I was, like grandparents, and I was 20. So I was unaware of the realities of the world, but I also didn't mind doing paperwork, would tell people what they needed to do to get done. So I was decent at the leadership part of it, but I had to grow into feeling it was acceptable for me to be telling people who were 3 times older than I was what to do. Give them permission to go to the bathroom, for pity's sake. So yeah, it's an interesting twist, and I like that Burnham has been able to pick up the reins as the leader and immediately does try to ease him into this command with Tilly's help, of course. Now, again, I do recommend this article. It is fantastic and fun. It discusses how, as they're jumping through time in that last episode, how we get to see so many of the characters and how they've grown and changed through the past 5 seasons. We even get to say hello and goodbye to Ariana, who took charge, and it was cool to see her in the captain's chair, even though it's the very last time we're going to be seeing her. At least I think so. I don't know if she would have a reason to show up again in the next few episodes. But either way, it was a fantastic way to kind of say hello and goodbye to so many of these characters. Now, this last thing I want to share with you before I go is a summary of an article written by Variety. It's all about the future of Star Trek. This one is shared by the Trek Legacy. These are my Letters for Legacy friends. And the summary here says, this article is a gem. I recommend you to read it. I leave you several screenshots with phrases that have touched my heart and that summarize the reasons why many of us love Star Trek and feel proud of its stories. It is a long article with a lot of interesting information, and there are sentences that you will love, especially the ones that refer to the fans and the fact that the will of the fans to keep Star Trek alive has been what has really kept Star Trek alive. Also, the ones about we have listened to the fans and we want to keep our primary fan base happy. Something that I think was very evident in that final season of Picard as they played fan service to a lot of us, and some of us really appreciated it. We fans are going to keep fighting for Star Trek, working to keep it alive, to make the shows we want to see happen. In our case, we want to make Star Trek Legacy a reality with the characters we already know and love. Captain Seven of Nine, her number one Raffi Musiker, and the special advisor Jack Crusher, as well as Captain Shaw. We trust they will know how to bring him back. We absolutely do. Sydney Alondra Muir, Dr. Olk Esmer, Tavine in some way, and of course with Terry Metalis at the helm. Now here comes the announcement that comes with this post. It has to do with when Letters for Legacy will be showing up at the next convention. And we are preparing the next conventions, organizing ourselves to carry out original and engaging actions, investing money and time to keep alive the conversation about Star Trek Legacy. And hopefully we will see our dream and that of many others come true. Join us. Any help is welcome. And so in the future, you'll be able to proudly say that you too have helped make Star Trek Legacy a reality. I will, of course, link the full Variety article so that you can read past the quotes that were shared here to make sure you understood that this article, it is truly about us and the future of what we want Star Trek to be. However, I haven't shown you guys in a while, so in case you are new to my channel and I have not brought you here before, this is the website for Letters for Legacy. I will include that address in my sources below as well. But this is what has been created to help ensure those who would like to write a letter to Mr. Tom Ryan, who is the CEO of Paramount Plus and makes these streaming decisions. You want to let him know that you like Star Trek Legacy, and feel free to let him know what form you want this to take. Do you want to see more of our legacy characters? Do you want to see the new Enterprise G? I saw a really good idea from one of my viewers that they make a whole new ship and name it the Enterprise G, because renaming the Titan, it's not as good as building them a whole new ship. And I have to agree with that assessment, but I won't be upset if the story continues on Enterprise G. It's been a good ship for us. But if you navigate to this website, you'll see that there are our mission logs, what we've done so far. And you can also navigate to Write the Future and learn 10 tips for writing engaging letters and a letter template. The last one is to support the future and the WGA in whatever form you'd like to. We always encourage that, but of course this was made during the strike. Now, if you click to letter templates, all you'll need to do is download a template that's already been created, one that fits your style. Feel free to change it a little so the wording works for you, but everything is already filled out so you can easily send a letter, and all it costs is a stamp. And if you want to avoid the price of a stamp and you happen to be at either FedCon coming up this May 10th, I believe, in Germany, you can find us and our table, grab a letter, sign it, and we will cover that postage cost for you. Also in August, we are going to be in Las Vegas. So find our table there as well, or find us roaming around. I tend to walk around with a clipboard just asking people. Of course, you know what I ask them. Do you like Star Trek? Way easier to ask at a Star Trek convention. I have to tell you, generally the answer is yes. And we gather those signatures and again, send them in. You do not have to worry about postage. We don't want your firstborn. It won't cost you $1 million. It costs you a signature and a desire for Star Trek. And that is all I've got for you on this installment. Please do make sure that you give this video a like if you've enjoyed it at all. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. I'm 200 short of 3,000 subscribers. It would be really cool if I could get that before I go to Vegas in August. Also, this channel, I'm going to be trying to sponsor that table, so that'll be interesting. So yeah, subscribe and make sure you watch, because I want to make sure I have enough money to do that. If you do want to support my trip, please do not have a GoFundMe for my personal expenses. However, feel free to give me a one-time super thanks. Every penny does help out. As you know, flying from Indiana can be a little costly when you're heading to Las Vegas. I compared it to driving, and quite frankly, since I'd have to stay in a hotel, it wouldn't be that much different, except I don't drive. There's like a bus option, and that's more expensive. That's ridiculous. So I want to get on an airplane. I'm going to be staying at the, not at the Rio, at a less expensive hotel to try and make this more manageable. And yeah, we just want to get those signatures and send them in. So if you would like to support that cause, one, check out the website, make sure you send in a letter, or two, see me in Vegas and sign a letter, and I'll be happy to send it in for you. Or three, give me a couple of bucks so that I can make sure I can get there, because every signature I gather, and like, I don't care about going up and talking to strangers, so I tend to gather a lot. But every signature I gather is with your help, and with every view, with every subscription, with every new member, with every Patreon. You guys really do help me out, and I want to thank you so much for that support. Please have a great week. I am putting this out Monday, I hope, in the hopes that it's a better timed video for those of you who tend to watch them on Monday evening, which is new for this channel, so I'm trying to figure it out. And until our 41st installment of the Star Trek Void, please do check out one of my other videos here. And if you do like one of them, I'll see you there. And this is penned by our Lost Enterprise Return, the original 30. And this is penned by our... I can't read it today. And this is penned by Armin. Also, how... I've never done like any... words.